Saints fans, welcome to the channel here at Utility Sports. We cover the NFL draft and much more, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Also, leave a like on today's video if you are excited for the New Orleans Saints offseason, specifically when it comes to the NFL draft. Of course, they shook things up with the trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they have 2 first-round picks, so I figured right now is the perfect time to do a Saints team mock draft. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in the channel here today. I've given myself a little bit of time to wrap my mind around what the Saints could be targeting here. They also have Andrew Booth Jr. in the stadium today. So they are looking at cornerback. That is on their radar with Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson. Possibly could be the guy they are targeting. Remember, we have picks 16 and 19 now in New Orleans. Again, Saints fans, if you are new to the channel, please leave a like. Also subscribe. It would be huge for us. And Andrew Booth Jr. actually goes off the board before us. He goes 13th to the Texans. And now here we are, 16th overall. And this is an interesting spot to draft because there's a few different things that we could look at. First of all, we're the Saints. Let's go ahead and take a look at a quarterback. Unless you're sold that Jameis Winston off an ACL is the long-term guy, I do think they will consider one here. Specifically, since they moved up to get a second first-round pick, it would lead you to believe that they're looking for some type of premium position, whether that's quarterback, tackle, potentially with Teron Armstead out the door. You could look at an edge potentially, or you could look at a corner. Those are really the 4 premier positions I think they could consider with one of these first-round picks. And I also would not rule out wide receiver. Yes, I know Michael Thomas is coming back, but they still badly need another one. With the QBs here, though, I just am not sold that anything here at this spot is better. Desmond Ridder, I love his upside, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I think he's also got a very low floor. So I'm not sure if I want to take that selection. Let's look at the wide receiver spot here. Jahan Dotson, Jameson Williams, who's out with an injury right now, but perhaps could be a nice grab for this team. Chris Olave, Treylon Burks. Both of those make a lot of sense. I'm pretty sure the Saints are going to have Treylon Burks into their stadium as well. So I think Treylon Burks is definitely in play at this spot. Let's go back over to the corner spot like we're talking about Trent McDuffie, a really good cornerback. Now, I know their cornerback needs not listed as high as maybe I would think it should be, but I do think they will strongly consider one. Let's also go to the edge spot because, again, edge is a very premier position. We got Karlaftis, Boye Mafe, and Ajabo here. I don't really think any of those guys are going to be on the Saints' radar. Don't see them taking a linebacker here either. You know, this is where it gets tough here. Let's go to the tackle spot, and I actually am going to go with Trevor Penning. Simply because I think that his nastiness on the offensive line, they're going to need to find a way to replace Teron Armstead. And they go and get Trevor Penning, who had a great Senior Bowl, was really, really productive in his career as well at UNI. And I think for a player like him, you bring him into New Orleans, he becomes an instant impact offensive lineman for this team. And then 19th here, we got the Saints again. So let's talk about what else we could look to do. And I think the wide receiver play is really where I'm going to lean toward here. A guy like Treylon Burks, I really do like what he could be, but I also think Chris Olave could be a phenomenal option. And Mickey Loomis there for the Saints has a real history and tendency to draft from Ohio State. He's done a really good job with it when he has as well. One example would be Marshawn Lattimore. You could also look at Michael Thomas. I mean, Buckeyes run deep in New Orleans. So Chris Olave, I do have him on my radar here at this pick. And let's actually look at the safety spot as well. Daxton Hills here, which is an interesting hybrid corner safety split. He can maybe make some sense, especially with the loss of Marcus Williams. Lewis Seen, a really hard hitter out of Georgia. I think they would consider, but probably wouldn't use the asset here in the first round for one of these safeties. So for me, I think I'm going to go with Chris Olave. I think he's a really good fit next to Michael Thomas in terms of what he brings that Michael Thomas doesn't, which is more of a deep threat element. He's a touchdown machine. He's going to put up a lot of points in the NFL. So I think bringing in a weapon like him does make a lot of sense. We actually see the Chiefs double down and secondary, which is interesting. But now here we are moving into the second round. I want to know your guys' thoughts. What would you do in the first round? Obviously, there's going to be different outcomes and thoughts here from you guys. So I'd love to hear, even if you disagree with mine, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm wrong or it doesn't mean that you're wrong. Very possible that you could see the Saints going in a different direction. And, you know, in the draft, that's why it's so fun to watch and so enjoyable because you never really for sure know what's going to happen until it happens. Here we are, 49. I mean, Nakobe Dean is here. I feel like they would take him just because he's the best player available, but he's a first round player. He's not going to be here at 49. So for realism's sakes, I'm not going to take Nakobe Dean here because I do not think he will at all be eligible to be drafted 49th overall unless he has something crazy happen to him like JOK had last year from Notre Dame. So for me, I'm not going to mock Nakobe Dean here, even though if he was actually available, he would be the automatic no-brainer selection. Instead, we're going to look for a player that makes sense around that. So let's go back to the QB spot. Is there anyone here? Carrell's here, and Carrell here actually I do think makes a lot of sense. We're actually going to take Matt Carrell. The fact that he's available in the second round, I do think that is a potential outcome, just with how the QB market's kind of shaped up. You know, Indianapolis got their guy, and then you also look at, you know, Cleveland got theirs. I feel like the Texans feel pretty good about Davis Mills. Washington got theirs. So it's very possible here that the quarterbacks fall a little bit, especially a player like Matt Carrell, who's been dealing with a little bit of an injury. See him fall to 49, but I do think the upside's there for him. He's really limited his turnovers, which is huge. His last season at Ole Miss was way better than his previous season. So for me with Matt Carrell, I do think he's worthy of a day 2 selection, maybe even a back end day 1 selection. So for me here, the Saints, I think it's a really good grab for this team. And now we're moving into 98, obviously, with the comp pick in round 3. Of course, they did trade one of their third rounders to the Philadelphia Eagles in that trade for the first round pick. So here we are now, and we haven't addressed safety yet, which is where I think we really need to go here. So which is tough because we've actually seen it kind of thin out a little bit. You know, Dane Belton out of Iowa does make some sense here. JT Woods from Baylor is not a bad option either. Brian Cook from Cincinnati is not bad either. He was part of one of the best secondaries in the nation this past year. I might wait around and see if I can grab Brian Cook. So let's actually go here and try and find, let's look at the tight end spots. Jelani Woods, really athletic tight end. I wouldn't hate that addition. Interior defensive line as well. Let's go ahead over to there. There's some options here. I'm trying to think about what exactly I would want to do if I was the GM of the New Orleans Saints. Let's go back into the linebacker room as well. Troy Anderson still here. That's not a bad option. Brandon Smith as well. He's a really nice option out of Penn State. I feel like he's going to go higher than this. So I'm going to go with Brandon Smith here just based off the value. I think he's worthy of a round 3 selection. I think he's a really good pickup here out of Penn State. Now, I know it's not the biggest need there for New Orleans, but sometimes you want to just take good players. And I feel like we've done a really good job of that. You know, 4 really good players up to this point, 3 picks in the top 50. We have our long-term quarterback, assuming Jameis Winston just can't stay healthy. And now here we are. Again, Jack Sanborn's still out here too, which is interesting. But this is perfect here because Brian Cook's still available. That's what I wanted to do. And now we have a starting safety, one who played really, really well. And I know a lot of people are going to say, whoa, Cincinnati doesn't play anybody. I mean, they played Alabama in the game to get to the national championship and lost by 7. So, you know, they were pretty good this past year. And Brian Cook was a big reason why in the back half. Their secondary was so strong. Of course, Ahmad Gardner got a lot of the recognition there. But Brian Cook had a good part to deal with it as well. So I feel like our defense has really improved in this draft. And we've also gotten some offensive players as well to really help out, especially replace some guys that we probably aren't going to be able to keep in New Orleans. When you look at, you know, Tron Armstead already left. We need to find a wide receiver because there's always questions about the future for, you know, Michael Thomas in New Orleans. So I feel good about getting Olave in general. And it's crazy here. Ariza's actually here. I would actually really consider him in round 5 if I was a team. If you guys haven't seen this kid punt, go watch him punt. He's a phenomenal punter. So I'm probably not going to mock him here. But I think Matt Ariza is going to be a really nice pick for whoever grabs him because I think he's going to be a really good really good addition. We're actually going to go with Thayer Munford here from Ohio State. Played a lot of guard, but also got kicked out to tackle quite a bit this past season. So he's flexible, gives you another reliable option. Probably going to, you know, translate to being their 6th offensive lineman this first year, which is good because he has the versatility to kick out to tackle, but can also play guard. Gives you a lot of versatility. And when you're replacing a player of Teron Armstead's magnitude, his level of play, it's very essential that you go and find somebody who's going to be really, really good and also be able to be consistently available. And I think Thayer Munford really does fit both of those, you know, aspects that we're looking for. And here we are in round 6 now with pick 194. Ariza's still out here. They're trying to tempt me with the with the Matt Ariza pick. So I would not rule that out necessarily. Let's go back into the tight end room. Obviously, they got the kid from Dayton a few drafts ago, but he's really been dealing with a lot of injuries. So here at this spot, there's a few different options you could maybe consider, but I'm not sure if I'm in love with any of those yet at this spot. Let's go back into the interior defensive line here again and see what's out here. There's some options here that I don't hate, but there's also some that I'm just like, maybe this isn't the best value spot for them. Let's go back to the corner spot as well and see if there's anything we could add on here. I kind of do like Mykael Wright here out of Oregon. He's a player who is supposed to go higher, didn't have quite the season he was hoping to have. And I actually do think he makes some sense. We also have Dejon Warren from Jackson State. Of course, Jackson State's been put on the map in recent years. Let's go ahead with Mykael Wright here, though, from Oregon. I do think we address a cornerback need there. Even though it's not the most pressing need, I still think it's important that they grab one for depth's sake, at least on day 3. So we do that here in round 6. And now we're moving in toward round 7 here. So we'll see our picks up to this point. Again, remember, Trevor Penning and Chris Olave in round 1. Matt Carrell, Brandon Smith, Brian Cook from rounds 2 through 4, and then Thayer Munford in round 5, and round 6 we went with Mykael Wright. So I feel really good about what we've been able to do up to this point, and I think, you know, with where the Saints are at, I think they can be really competitive, and I think this is a good blend here of looking long term in selections like Olave and Penning and also Carrell, but also players who can help now. Olave is very ready to help, and I think Penning can slot in as a day 1 starter, which is obviously what you're hoping for in a round 1 tackle. And then you look at Brandon Smith, Brian Cook. They've played some big games in their career, and they've also been really impactful on defenses. So I think we've done enough here to help this team win and get a lot better. Now, do I kind of wish I was able to draft Matt Araiza? Of course, but maybe he'll be a high priority UDFA signing. This has been the mock draft here. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Again, we'll take one last look at our picks. Trevor Penning, Chris Olave, Matt Carrell, Brandon Smith, Brian Cook, Thayer Munford, and Mykael Wright. So I feel really good about that. Again, give me your thoughts. Let me know who you would have taken at each pick. Of course, there's going to be some variance and difference of opinion. Completely cool with me, as long as you guys are completely cool with that as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.